Hello readers. Welcome back to my channel. I am Divya. I hope you are all doing fantastic. I welcome you to my little corner on the internet. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about my top 10 reads of 2024. I have seen a lot of people doing this, and I thought, why not? I would like to share with you the books that I thought were the best reads of 2024. So without much ado, let's just get into the video. Okay, so number 10 on the list is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I read this book in March March 2024, and before this I read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and that made me want to read all of her works basically. And so I picked it up, and I really loved the story. It is just so lighthearted, so cute, so cutesy, and the angst, the longing, everything. It's in there, and I loved it. One thing that I want to tell about Pride and Prejudice is that I liked the story of Pride and Prejudice more, but the chemistry, this is an unpopular opinion, I think, but the chemistry between Anne and Wentworth, which who are the main characters of this story, I liked it much more than Elizabeth and Darcy's. But I am a Darcy fangirl. That is a different topic. But I did like their chemistry so much more than Elizabeth's and Darcy's. This is a story about second chance romances and how giving second chance to the person you really love and really desire can turn out to be very beautiful. It is a very difficult step to take, but it turns out to be so beautiful sometimes. That is what this book is about, and I do recommend reading it. And just if you want something like cutesy and lighthearted, this is the book to pick up. The book on the 9th position is Bunny by Mona Awad. The reason this made to the top 10 of 2024, top 10 reads of 2024, is because the book is just so weird. It is so weird. The entire time you will be reading it, you will feel like either you are in a fever dream or everything is just weird, and you are high on drugs or something. This is exactly how this book feels. While I was reading it, I was saying to myself, oh, so maybe this is how it feels like to be high on drugs, high on weeds. I can tell you, it is so weird. And if you haven't read it, I would suggest that you do. This is once in a lifetime kind of experience, and it is rare to come across books like these which has a plot. Everything seems to be something at the beginning, but then it turns out entirely different at the end. And at the end, you will just be staring at the wall like, what the fuck did I just read? That is how this book is going to make you feel, and I highly recommend reading this book just for the experience sake. If you want to know about the story, this is the story about Samantha, who goes to this university where she feels alienated from the rest of the students. But then she also notices a group of girls who calls themselves bunnies. They call each other Bunny. They're like, hi Bunny, how are you doing? Is everything okay, Bunny? That is how they talk to each other. And Samantha is absolutely disgusted by it. She's like, what the fuck? What is wrong with them? Why are they behaving in this weird way? But then she receives an invitation, like a very particular invitation from the bunnies, and they are inviting her to a party, and she decides to join that party. And that is where like hell breaks loose, and weird things starts happening. And yeah, that is the story. So if you are thinking of adding a weird book to your reading list of 2025, I suggest you add Bunny by Mona Awad. Number 8 on the list is The Devil Flutes Murder by Seishei Yukimizo. I talked about this thriller in my Japanese recommendation video, so if you want to check that out, do check it out on my channel. And this book is a thriller. It is a Japanese thriller, as you may have guessed from the name. It is a thriller, and it is one heck of a thriller. One thing I like about Seishei Yukimizo is the writing. Writing is just so atmospheric. You will instantly be drawn towards it, and you will feel like you are in one of the villages of Japan, rural areas of Japan, and it is such an experience. I recommend reading these thrillers, Japanese thrillers, in rainy season. So if you're thinking of adding it to your list of 2025, I suggest you read it in the monsoon season. And if you want to know the story about it, it is about a Tosubaki family, and Tosubaki was an old viscount. So this is about an old viscount who was a composer, and suddenly he is discovered dead, and nobody knows what is happening. And a detective, a very famous detective, is called in for investigation. His name is Kasuke Kidaichi. And Kasuke Kidaichi comes and discovers that murders are still happening, and at the time of murders, this weird flute is played. Yeah, how creepy. Exactly. So a weird flute is played, and whoever listens to that flute dies. And now it is on the hands of Kasuke Kitaichi to uncover the truths and find out what is actually happening. And the tune that is being played is considered to be the last composition done by the Tsubaki, and that makes it so much more creepier, because people are thinking that Tosubaki is back from the dead, and his family thinks that he is here to take some kind of revenge from them. So yeah, absolutely one heck of a thriller, totally recommended. Do add it to your list of 2025, or just add it to your TBR whenever you feel like reading it. Do read this book. Next on the list is not one book, but an entire series. I think, according to me, one series is one, I consider it one entire book, because if you take one book out of the series it will crumble down. You will not know the entire story. So for me, this entire series is one book. Okay, so I think you know which series I'm talking about. It is Lockwood and Co. by Jonathan Stroud. Absolutely freaking love this series, and would recommend it till the end of time. It is just so fun, so unique. The plot is unique, the characters are unique. It is such a good series to take you out of a reading slump, because you would not even realize you are at the last book of the series. And you will feel like you want more. You will want more, because I want more. I was like, why did Jonathan Stroud just stop writing Lockwood and Co? He could just continue forever, and I would buy those books and read those books, because I love the trio so much. I talked about this series in details, so if you want to check that video out, you can do so in my channel. And yeah, highly suggest this YA fantasy. You would not regret it. Just trust me on this one. You will never regret picking up Lockwood and Co. Book in this series is White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Now, you must have seen this book a lot of times on Instagram and YouTube, because people are reading this a lot. People read this book a lot. This gained a lot of popularity, and the thing I would like to say is a little unpopular opinion. My favorite story was not White Nights, but there is another story in this particular edition. I don't know about the other editions, but in this particular edition, that is Penguin Little Black Classics, there is another story after White Nights, which is also written by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and it is called Babuk. It is just such a fascinating story. I loved it more than White Nights. So this is about a man who falls asleep in a cemetery, and when he wakes up, he can hear the dead talking among themselves, like the buried bodies. They are talking among themselves, and they are in their last minute of consciousness, and he is just horrified to listen to the talk, because even in those last minute of consciousness, they are talking about such human things which does not hold any value after they are dead. They are still talking about lust and power, which is just, he feels disgusted to hear them talk about those thoughts. And he is like, even in these last moment of consciousness, they should be thinking about the sins they committed. They should be asking forgiveness from the Lord, or looking back at the happy moments of their life. But no, they are not doing that. They are doing something entirely else. I highly suggest you to read a book by Fyodor Dostoevsky. And I wrote a little annotation at the end. Um, I wrote that this short story was so good, funny and horrifying all at once. I really enjoyed this one so much. For those who like to reflect on what happens to our consciousness after we die, this story gives a lot to think about. So I highly recommend you to read White Nights as well as Babuk. So basically, by this edition of White Nights, you will find both the stories in there, and highly recommend reading both of them. Notes from Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Another Dostoevsky. If you don't know this about me, I am highly a Dostoevsky girly. This book in particular is about a man who overthinks, basically. So it's a letter to all the overthinkers out there. And I, being an overthinker myself, learned a lot from this book. The main thought that this book tried to portray was don't overthink. Don't live in your mind. If you live in your mind and worry about things that you could have done or you should do, but you are not doing it in action, then it will lead to nothing but regret and guilt in your later life, and you would not be able to live with that guilt of not doing a particular thing when the time was correct, but just thinking about it, not doing it in action. Okay, so living inside the mind is not the best thing, and Dostoevsky is recommending us not to be overthinkers and just do the things you want to do, which is such a great valuable lesson that overthinkers need to learn. And there are a lot of other analogies that this book portray, and I absolutely love it, and I would highly recommend it. And the people who want to start reading Dostoevsky, I would suggest that you first read Crime and Punishment and then read the other works of Dostoevsky, because that is how I began, and I became a fan of Dostoevsky in that way only. So I suggest you read Crime and Punishment before you read anything else, if you are in particular looking to start reading Dostoevsky. Otherwise, if you just want to read this particular book, I highly suggest and highly recommend it to all the overthinkers out there. Circe by Madeline Miller. Now, I read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller and absolutely loved it. It is the way that Madeline Miller writes. You will be attracted right from the first line, especially people who like poetic and lyrical language. And I am one of those people, so I absolutely love the writing. And how I associate with the writing is, it feels like melody. It feels like a song, a beautiful melodious song. That is how this writing feels like, and the story is devastatingly beautiful, and highly recommend to read this. And this is about Circe, who was daughter of a god but could not be god herself, and it disappointed her father very much that she doesn't have any of the powers her brothers and sisters have. And slowly and slowly she discovers she definitely has a power, and it is the power of witchcraft. So this book is about femininity, the power a woman can hold, and the wrongs that are committed against women, and how she can come out strong even after facing those strenuously crazy experiences and traumatizing events. So I highly recommend reading Circe. It is beautiful, it is tragic, and it is gorgeous. The writing is absolutely melodious, and lyrical and gorgeous. The second top tier book of 2024 is The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. Now, this book, I buddy read it with one of my friends from Bookstagram, and we had such a fun time. We were criticizing all the characters and expressing our frustration on the main character, that is Christine Daae. She is one of the main characters, and we were frustrated by her personality. And I just had such a fun time. This is a love story, a love triangle between three individuals. One is the Phantom of the Opera himself. He is considered as a ghost. I will not tell you much about him because that is the plot. And then we have Christine Daae, who is the female main character of this book, and her love interest, that is Raoul. Now, Phantom of the Opera, the ghost falls in love with Christine Daae and wants her to himself. But Raoul, the lover of Christine Daae, also wants her. And there ensues a tale of longing and tragedy, and death-like situations for the love of their life. Yeah, that is the entire plot, and I enjoyed it. I had such a fun time, and I would recommend it to people. The writing is gorgeous. The storyline is unique. It is very unique and spectacular. So yeah, I annotated it a lot. So yeah, Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux, second book, second a beautiful book of 2024. Oops, sorry for the confusion, guys. This is not the second book, but the third top three book of 2024. The second book is Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Oh my God, how can I forget about this book? This is actually the second favorite book of 2024, and I think this quickly became one of my favorite reads ever. And it is just so morbid to be inside Franz Kafka's mind. It is tragic and also like eye-opening kind of to read Metamorphosis. And this is about Grigor Samsa, who awakens to a bizarre transformation. A haunting exploration of identity and alienation unfolds. Enter the bizarre world of Metamorphosis, and where Kafka challenges the boundaries of reality and human nature. So this is basically about alienation and how a man can feel alienated from the society, and his needs cannot be met when he is feeling in that fashion. And this is in this story, the main character, that is Grigor Samsa, turns into big vermin. And I will just read you the first sentence. It is a very famous sentence, and I will read you the first line of this novel. One morning, when Grigor Samsa woke from troubled dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a horrible vermin. So, yeah, that is, I think that should be enough to intrigue you to pick up this book. Um, it definitely makes you want to think about life in a deeper sense. And yeah, I highly recommend this book, and please read it. Okay, so this brings us down to the number one book of 2024 that I read, and that will be Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I cannot tell you guys how much I love Frankenstein. This became my one of my most loved book of all times. I read it in January of 2024, and I kept thinking about it the entire year, and I will keep thinking about it for the rest of my life. The question that came to my mind when I was reading this was, how did Mary Shelley write this masterpiece at the age of 18? It didn't feel possible, because you can literally write a thesis on this if you are doing your master's in literature. I think you can literally write a thesis on this. This is the story about Frankenstein. Victor Frankenstein. He is a scientist, yes, Victor Frankenstein is the name of the human, not the monster. I used to think that Frankenstein is the name of the monster, but no, Victor Frankenstein is the name of the human who created this monster. He was a science student. He loved science, and he thought he discovered that he can make a living creature and give it life. So he just basically wanted to play God, and he did make this creature. He did make this creature, and after making that creature, he was like, oops, I think I fucked up. And he got so scared that he left his creation and just ran away from it. And this creature, who does not know anything about the world, even though it is hideous looking, but he does not know anything about the world. He's just like a newborn child. He doesn't know what is right, what is wrong, anything. And he's just left in the world to survive alone. Sorry for the inconvenience, guys, but I just got a notification on my phone that my entire storage is full. So I can't possibly record anymore. But that was all about the best books of 2024 that I really liked. And thank you so much for joining on this video with me. And I will see you soon again. Ciao.